Okay, so I'm working on my 2006 F350 here today, and I've developed a pretty severe front end shake. I don't know exactly what's going on with it yet, but I'm going to start out by replacing this front stabilizer shock that's under here. And this is the part number. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to lift just one side of this up a little bit. Well, I've got a little bit more room to get under here, and we're going to get under the front end and see about getting this thing off of here. Okay, so we got it raised up a little bit here, and I've also got a jack stand back there, but I've got plenty of room to get here now. We can see this shock here. You can see how the bolt comes through this bracket that's attached to this steering link here, and it has that bolt that comes through here. And then if you look back here on this side, you can see how the bolt comes through there and just holds it on to this bracket, so that attaches that end. And then the other end that slides in and out down here is just attached to this bracket, and it's got the nut on this side and just a bolt coming through that we have to hold right here. So all we have to do is get this loose and hold this side, or breaking that loose, and the same thing here, and then we can just get this out of here easily and get the other one in. So that's how it attaches, and it just keeps the vibrations down. There's a lot of things it could be, and like I said, I haven't ruled anything else out yet. I'm just starting with the simplest and kind of the most inexpensive. You know, you could have a problem over here with the gearbox. Now I know I do have some slack in mine, so I may very well be having to replace that, and those are pretty pricey. So we'll have to look at that. I didn't think that the tie rods and my other bushings looked that horrible, but you know, they could use, you know, a replacing too, because they are getting old. So that's something will probably have to be addressed. But the way it just happened all at once, going down the freeway, started shaking really severely, you know, out of nowhere. So something is definitely failed completely. So it's at the point right now, it's pretty much undrivable. You can't even take it down the road at slow speeds without the vibration at this point. Okay, so I just have an 18mm long handled and a 15mm wrench, and I think we're just going to start right up here on this one. You can see we come in between where this lower hose and here. We'll get our 15 on this to hold it, and then we're going to come on the other side and get our 18 over here. And you may need to spray it with some lubrication depending on how difficult it wants to be, and sometimes you don't even need to hold this, but this will definitely keep it from spinning on you to have this wrench on this side. So we're going to go ahead and just work on taking this loose first, and it's coming pretty easy. And I'm going to get my other hand free so I can hold this up here and just finish getting this bolt out. Okay, I did have to put some WD-40. It's there's a lot of rust on this as you go to taking it off. It's easy to break loose, but as you can see, as you get towards the end, the part that was sticking out there is pretty rusty, so it took some some doing. So we're going to go ahead and get on this one down here now. And so we're just going to hold that right there, that 15, well, we got our 18 over here. Now to get it loose, I don't have to hold it. You can see once I get it broke loose, it starts spinning, so I have to get the other wrench up there to hold it. So we just got to get this end here, and then we'll just pop these bolts, this whole thing off together, and get our new one over here. Okay, and there we are with this one loose. And we can push these bolts out of here. And there's the whole unit loose. Now I would suspect that this is pretty wore out. Okay, and you can see that you just easily, shocks aren't supposed to do that. So it's completely failed, so it's definitely not doing any good. So this could be the culprit, but then again, like I said, I've got slack in my steering, so I think that I'm gonna probably have to address that gearbox as well. Okay, and here's our new one, and you can see that they're pretty close to being the same. I've got it stretched out here a little bit, just so when I put it up there, I'll be able to just slide it right back into the same spot it was in. I'm just gonna, this bolt here is actually got a little lock on it. It's just one of those little washer lock things. I'm just gonna pop that off there. I don't really have any use for that. Okay, I just took a screwdriver and broke that little piece off there. It's just to kind of help hold the bolt when they're putting it in place. So like I said, I've got the length stretched out the same, so I'm just going to take this now and just transfer it directly up there and just slip it and my bolts and everything back into place here. Okay, so I got that slipped back in, that in right there. I'm just slipping it back into this bracket, and all we have to do is get our 18s back on each end here. And I'm just going to get these good and tight and get my other wrench on this other side up here to hold that again. And it definitely looks better already, but you can definitely tell, when you get a new shock, the tremendous amount of resistance. And if it's not got resistance, then it's not doing its job at all. And of course, when shocks go out, and why I wanted to replace this first, if this goes out, it's going to be beating the other parts up. So you need this to be good before you go to worrying about really anything else. This being bad, it could have, accelerated the harm to the gearbox as well. Okay, so I've got those snugged down. I mean, you can see they look a little bit different from the original, but when they lock down there, they're nice and tight, and it looks really good. Now I'm just going to take this and snug this down really well. If I was going to torque it, I wouldn't go too much, probably no more than 70 foot-pounds at the most. It just doesn't have to be that tight. And you see, once it gets good and snug, you don't even have to hold that bolt over there. But just get it good and snug. But I didn't even look up the specs, but And just make sure it's good and snug, and I'm sure it'll be fine. And there it is, all in place. Looks a lot better. And we're going to try it out and just see if I can tell any difference. I'll know immediately because just taking it down the road, it was shaking unbelievably crazy earlier. So I think that it's definitely going to be better than it was, but very easy to get in here and replace this. I mean, it just attaches to this bracket back here and then this up here with the bolts, and just really easy to get to, one of the easier parts. So I'm going to take it down the road and just check it out and see how it's going to do. Okay, so I took it down the road, and it actually might have been slightly better than it was before, but it still got a tremendous amount of shake, and I wasn't even going very fast. So I still definitely have a problem under here, so stay tuned for that. I don't know if I'm going to try to do all the tie rods in the gearbox, because I know I've got a lot of slack under there, and they're going to need to be replaced. So I don't know if I want to do those next or go straight for the gearbox, but I definitely am feeling like it's in the gearbox because of how it just went out all at once without any warning, and just a lot of shaking going on. So, but that's going to conclude replacing this stabilizer shock under here. So I hope you found that helpful, and as always, I invite you to subscribe, and I thank you for watching.